We are back here for another daily price action analysis for the old Bitcoins. And as always, we'll start it off with some daily price statistics. You can see that once again, yesterday did actually call the high of the day. In fact, Bitcoin actually closed in around the high too. As we were talking about in yesterday's video, Bitcoin likely to carry on with that rally based off of the hidden bullish divergence signal. And for today, I do want to once again go over the daily price statistics, of which Friday is a slight favor in terms of whether it's likely to close positively or negatively in favor of green closures, with 53.33333 repeating, of course, of all Fridays closing positively since this bull market began in 2023. The average returns are, of course, what we are most interested in. And on the positive closing side for Friday, it has been just over 2%. For the negative side, it was just around 1.69%, which is actually the lowest of any weekday. Not by a great margin, by the way, but to put this in terms of price action, to the upside, that'd give us a boundary right around 119,900, and to the downside, a boundary at around 115,550 or so. Meaning that, again, if Bitcoin does hit either side of these ranges here, I do think that these are good pullback or bounce regions. I don't think that Bitcoin is going to have a major breakout today, nor a major breakdown today. It's probably going to be, again, a range bound day, the range being between about, let's just call it 120 to the upside versus 115.5 to the downside. And realistically, it's not even really that. The overall range, the real range that Bitcoin is caught in between here now, and the range that I think we'll really be living in for a while, is going to be, again, that 119 area to the upside, but it's not 115.5 to the downside. It's really the lows of this, of last week on Saturday at around 112. I do think that Bitcoin's going to be living within this range for a while, and I'll explain why in a moment. But first, we should go over and follow up on some of the signals that we spoke about in yesterday's video. One of them being the daily time frame over here having some hidden bullish divergence. That one, I would say, has more or less played out, and you're kind of getting like the limp, the limper right here. You can see the daily RSI turning back down. If we do see it kind of close around here, especially back down below that moving average, probably going to be a good signal that, yeah, we will see this range continue, and you will see another try towards the lower end of the range. But again, I want to be really, really, really careful in my language here, because I'm not bearish on Bitcoin. I don't think Bitcoin's topped. I don't think Bitcoin is heading down to like new lows from here, or at least it's not my first, sort of target, if you will. But I do think that, if we do kind of just don't see really continuation today above one of those critical regions, then yeah, probably does come back down and has a bit more of a reset, and that's fine. We do expect a more or less boring sort of, rest of August. And when I say boring, I mean not above the price action pivot to the upside here, nor below that last low that we saw from earlier this week. As well, just going sideways, getting everyone really crazy, despite, more or less a range bound market. But it is big numbers at the end of the day. It's very, very big numbers, so I do understand it. Anyways, I do want to acknowledge, though, that if you do want a little bit of hopium, I guess it would be the falling derp right here, the falling pizza, the falling channel, the falling, I guess, is it a wedge? I don't necessarily know. But that is in play there, and we could make, we could see an actual breakout. But again, the measured move would only bring us to about here, about that last high. For CME, that's about 121. Again, that does have a premium for spot price action. So again, that'd put spot somewhere around like 120, or like we said earlier, 119,900, basically the same thing. So, if you do see it close above this, this upper boundary, which is just basically yesterday's high, depending upon whether you're on CME or index, just whatever yesterday's high was. Yeah, I guess you do see that move to the upside there. But again, I don't think it's going to get continuation. I do still think that this one is ripe for further consolidations. Again, one of the major reasons that I've been looking at is going to be based off of a couple of things. One of them is going to be the weekly HPDR over here for CME. And again, I want to reiterate that anytime that we do see an expansion away from the median on the weekly HPDR, and then volatility go back into a contraction phase, which we actually saw in late July, you're nearly destined to get a reconnect with that median. Now, the median as of right now is at 105,755. Now, I don't think Bitcoin's going to come back all the way down there, or sorry, it's at 106. Now, obviously, next week it'll open up, it'll get a new tick. I suspect that new tick will bring this pivot back to around like 110 or 112-ish region. Again, it doesn't need to head down there exactly right now. For example, we saw the most recent iteration over here where you got the expansion phase. It started to come back down. I'll mark this area off so you can see what happened on the chart just really quickly. And it looks something like so. Bitcoin, more or less put in the high of the rally right there, trades sideways until it reconnects again with that median. That is going to be combined, of course, with this setup over here. Of which, is this the right one? Hold on. Let's see. Nope, that's not the right one. Where did I put it? Dude, where's my charts? It's happening again. Motherfucker. Here we go. Yes. This is going to be the 4 EMA versus the, the 4 EMA versus the yellow 21 EMA. Again, just the red versus the yellow. Whenever we see a crossover to the downside, Bitcoin, typically within about the next 2 to 3 weeks, does come down to the green moving average. Now, this one realistically did just kind of happen. This one happening on Tuesday of this week. So if we fast forward, 2 to 3 weeks, that puts us towards the end of August. So during that time, how much higher can this come up? I suspect it probably comes up around to where the current low is at. And again, that's a minimum target, kind of similar to what you saw over here. Again, fires off. It got a rally, and I think that's kind of what's happening right now as well. That rally ultimately was a lower high and then came back down, fulfilled that condition, and then got the continuation. So I need a quick sip of this water. Really good water, actually. Surprisingly good quality here. And by the way, ever since this bull market began in 2023, anytime that we've gotten this signal, Bitcoin has not made new highs on the rally before reconnecting with that moving average. Again, it has gotten a rally, like you see right here, close to that prior high, but not making new highs again before coming back down to that major moving average. So that's kind of why I do think right now is still a patient time. I don't think that is necessarily a time to be running into positions or nothing like that. So again, just kind of drawing out a little ditty of what I think is, more or less likely to happen. Probably does get a little more continuation on this rally, somewhere around here, 119, 120, whatever it ends up being, that's fine. Something like this does a tabletop, then comes back down, reconnects with that moving average, and then, we see a real try to the upside probably in September. And here are the statistics, by the way, with this particular setup. Again, measured since this bull market began in 2023. There's been 12 iterations. 10 out of those 12 have closed, positively, meaning that it was a profitable trade. But all of them have obviously gotten down there. Like, for example, this most recent one, again, did get down there, but technically it wasn't a profitable trade. So again, this is not like a setup that I'd want to actually play myself. It's for general YouTube directional analysis, which unfortunately gets misheard a lot of the time. Like, if you're looking at this as like a signal, well, I would say it's highly unoptimized for that purpose. Anyways, moving on. Again, this is all going to be combined with the same sort of look that we've been having on the higher term timeframes. All of the higher term timeframes here are still angled in the same direction, pending today's closure, which is for the weekly on CME. Weekly stochastic momentum continues to the downside as long as Bitcoin's below 121,600, which as of right now, it's about $4,000 below. So I'd say as of right now, probably a good bet that it won't close above that number. But I guess crazier things have indeed happened. And then, of course, the lower time frame that we go, the more and more that we see this 10-day time frame, which is actually a higher term time frame. But you know where I'm going with this one. This one's pivoted at 120,500 again, coming in from a very, very high angle, which has actually caught the highs of of many of these rallies for Bitcoin ever since CME began in 2018, 2019. 5-day time frame obviously going to be down as well, headed down below 122 or almost 123. 3-day time frame also be headed down as long as Bitcoin's below 119,400. 2-day time frame also headed down as long as Bitcoin's below 127.50. And the daily time frame is the odd man out here, heading up. But whenever I see the daily kind of disagreeing with all the other higher term time frames, what I look for is this continue up alongside price action, more or less grinding those prior highs. But the second that this one turns back down and does something like this, especially within the bearish control zone, that probably is the signal, if I had to guess, for the next attempt back down around that green moving average. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for myself. Again, I'm not your fucking dad. I'm not here to tell you what to do. At the end of the day, you're free to do whatever the hell you want to do, but that's what I'd be doing if I was certainly a more long-term minded person. If you're more of a short-term person, then of course, you can make all kinds of things work. There is a lot of edge in the short-term timeframes with these massive ranges, but yeah. I'm specifically speaking to the more long-term people here in that I just don't think that there's a major rush into position here. I think August is going to be a waiting month, and September is probably the month of fun action. Or at least stuff, beginning. So yeah, that is where I'll end things on this analysis today. We're going to continue on with the live stream analysis on YouTube. And if you're looking to join in on future live streams, I should let you know that we're going to try to keep this time at around 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a beautiful time frame, very, very nice time frame because, well, that is around US market open, which is typically when things actually do happen. So yeah, there it is. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.